Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Hello. Thank you for watching my videos. It's Mike. It's November 21st, 2009. A rather remarkable set of news pieces has been released. Linked here, a couple of articles, one from The Guardian. Climate skeptics claim leaked emails are evidence of collusion among scientists. A couple other links as well. Examiner.com. Hadley CRU hacked with release of hundreds of documents and emails. Leaked Freedom of Information file, 62 megabytes of gold. Now, the third one here, from the air vent, was actually the first source of all of this news. The original file, which was a zip file that was on an FTP server over in Russia, has been removed. However, and I've included a bunch of links, you can find it via BitTorrent. It's also up on Mega Upload. So if you want to see what these emails actually look like. Now, of course, they're denying flat out that this is real. Now they've turned around and said, actually, yes, we did get hacked, but we can't comment on the authenticity of these emails. You'll need to contact each of the authors of the emails. So people like The Guardian have been attempting to contact the authors of the emails. In particular, they contacted Michael Mann. Now, his comment was actually quite funny. Let me just find it here. It's, where is he? There he is. Professor Michael Mann, director of Pennsylvania State University's Earth System Science Center, and a regular contributor to the popular climate science blog Real Climate, which is linked in the article there, features in many of the email exchanges. He said, "I'm not going to comment on the content of illegally obtained emails. However, I will say this, both the theft and I believe any reproduction of the emails that were obtained on public websites, etc., constitutes serious criminal activity. I'm hoping the perpetrators and their facilitators will be tracked down and prosecuted to the fullest extent the law allows." Too late. It's out there now. Anyway, some of the comments are, some of the emails are quite damning, and in particular, some of his comments and emails sent back and forth, you know, sort of bring up the whole idea of they've been fudging the numbers in a serious way. In particular, for instance, there's one email that quotes, "I've just completed Mike's nature trick of adding to the real temps to each series for the last 20 years, i.e. from 1981 onwards, and from 1961 for Keith's, to hide the decline." They're talking about the decline in the temperature, global temperature. So the Earth is indeed not warming up, it's actually declining slightly, but we're not supposed to know this stuff. We're just supposed to blindly accept anything scientists tell us. And there's a comment on one of the comments on the Guardian article. Actually, it seems to have disappeared. It's actually on the Telegraph article. Linked here, Cumbria floods. There's more where that came from. Basically, this is Geoffrey Lean attempting to convince all of us that we can expect more flooding in the north of England over the coming years because climate change is causing the weather to change. Climategate, the final nail in the coffin of anthropogenic global warming. Basically, again, also highlighting some of the emails that have been released. So it's all going rather badly for the global warming campaigners, which is bad news. However, other news this week, the European Union elected a president of the European Council. And I've linked a video here from his opening address. Partway through, roughly 1 minute 40 into it, he issues the words around global governance and how the economic crisis and the global warming crisis, or rather the climate change crisis, perils us all. And the only way to solve this is with a drive towards global governance at the Copenhagen conference. Now, hopefully the release of the news that scientists around the world have been fudging all the figures for the last 20 years or so would suggest that not many people will be really happy with the Copenhagen deal. However, they're still going to push forward with it. I've linked here a video from another YouTube blogger, Savannah Mills 92, on her understanding of the EU President's recent comments. I've also linked an article here from November 16th, EU presidency candidate at the time, Herman Van Rompuy, calls for new taxes. Basically, and it's mentioned right in here that Rompuy or whatever his name is, has actually attended a number of Bilderberg group meetings. He's a long-time favorite with them. Is it any wonder he got the presidency? Also linked here a video from the European Union Council, a parliament meeting or council meeting, I don't know, doesn't matter. An Italian MEP on the Bilderberg and Trilateral nominations for EU President and Foreign Minister. Basically saying, in it, Mario Borghesio, I ignore my pronunciations on things, doesn't matter, from Italy, basically saying that questions the nominations for the presidency and their apparent links with Bilderberg and, of course, the Trilateral Commission. So at least there is one politician in Europe that's questioning what the heck's going on here. Now, Copenhagen, what's coming up? Of course, there's a meeting in Copenhagen that purportedly will be creating a new legal entity to control climate change and greenhouse gases and taxes and so forth. And if you've, I previously mentioned this, if you look at the links on the United Nations sites, they're still debating the actual terms within the treaty, but it doesn't look very good. Now, Obama was over in China this week, and or earlier in the week, and one of the things he was talking about was climate change, funnily enough. Now, of course, the United States and China are the world's largest producers of a lot of the greenhouse gases that supposedly are causing the climate change that we're seeing. And there's also been a lot of talk that the Copenhagen deal won't get ratified in time, so that there won't be enough consensus among world leaders for the December meeting, and it may be pushed into 2010. So I've linked an article here. Obama says Copenhagen deal should have immediate effect, even though it won't be legally binding until 2010. In other words, he's pushing for the idea that the United States and other major countries around the world should start implementing the ideas within the Copenhagen deal before it's actually ratified. Now, of course, one of the big things is to get this through in the States, it has to be ratified by the Congress. We'll see what happens with that. I've also included a link here. Binding climate change may slip into 2010. Another article from basically saying that United Nations and Denmark both commented on Monday of this week that the treaty could be wrapped up in Bonn by mid-2010. Senate and the Congress have to agree on it, but they're unlikely to pass. Could be months before the Senate gets around to passing a domestic climate deal in the States. So the European Union elected a new president. They also elected a new foreign minister. Well, it's not what they're calling her. She's got some weird title like, what is it, European Minister of Foreign Policy or something. I don't know, it doesn't really matter. Lady Cathy Ashton. Now, Lady Ashton is a fairly unremarkable person. And she was, however, in a previous life, one of the chief members of CND, the anti-nuclear group in England, in the UK, and she's also a close personal friend of Prince Charles. I guess they needed to give her something, I suppose. She's been rising up the ranks rather quickly for some bizarre reason. We don't know why. I'm sure we'll find out. Now, one of the articles I've linked here says that the Ukraine crisis will be the first test for Lady Ashton. Shortly after her EU foreign policy job begins, the 1st of December, she will be in Ukraine. An EU-Ukraine summit will mark her international debut as foreign policy high representative. Ashton's predecessor, Javier Solana of Spain, is known to be extremely frustrated with the worsening political, economic and security crisis in the Ukraine. A fresh bout of the perennial gas war between UK and Russia may break out after the new year. I guess he didn't read the article that I've linked here. The Ukraine will pay off its Russian gas debt from their IMF account using special drawing rights. No need to worry. Ukraine will get itself sorted out. Finally, a couple of articles I linked here. New World Architecture from George Soros. He basically goes on in this article to say that the US ought not to shy away from a wider use of the International Monetary Fund's special drawing rights, because SDRs are denominated in several national currencies. No single currency would enjoy an unfair advantage. And of course, then he goes on further to talk about declining superpowers losing economic political dominance and all this other stuff, with the main idea being that the United Nations should really get much stronger. Yes, that would be the solution. To end with a fairly innocuous video, a long time ago I put up a video from Leona Lewis, the song Run. Now, Leona's version is quite nice. I actually like it. But more importantly, the original song seems to have a lot more words in it, and is a lot better for people. So I'm going to link here to the original version of Run by Snow Patrol. Peace, love, understanding, think about things. I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.